And we begin tonight with the weather impact alert, an extreme heat warning now covering our entire state. And it's not really hard to understand why if you have stepped outside. Thanks for inviting us in where it is nice and cool at 11 o'clock. I mean, Rob, these are stifling conditions with staying power.
Yeah, this is going to be something that lasts through the entire week, and it may last even just a bit longer than we were thinking, maybe into Friday before we start to see the temperatures start to cool down. 95, that's our high temperature for tomorrow. That should be the peak of the heat wave, though, and after that we should start to see the temperatures ease a bit, but they're still going to remain high in the 90s all the way through the rest of this week and maybe even into your July 4th holiday. Temperatures have now cooled down a bit. They're now down to 80, but don't expect them to cool down very much overnight. Part of the problem with this heat wave is not that it's been so hot during the day. It has, but we're also not cooling down much during the overnight, and the heat index values are still into the 90s for some of you and expected to go back into the triple digits for tomorrow. Overnight, 75, our expected low temperature. The humidity is so high, it's just not allowing the temperatures to get much below the mid 70s. And then for tomorrow, lots of problems here with lots of sunshine, so not much in the way of any shade offered by any clouds. Temperatures back up into the mid 90s. The humidity stays with us, so feels like temperatures are going to go up yet again, likely expecting those triple digits, not just Wednesday, but also into Thursday and into Friday. Some relief may be on the way. I'll talk about the chance for storms coming up.
All right, we'll see you in a little bit, Rob. Thanks. So this heat is really nothing to mess around with. Indianapolis Emergency Management Services told us today it's already responded to several calls for heat exhaustion and heat stroke. As Alex Almanza shows us tonight, it affects the most vulnerable Hoosiers.
Many of us have the luxury of coming home to air-conditioned houses, but for many people on the streets, that's not an option as temperatures swell into dangerous levels.
A record-setting heat wave continues to blister the eastern half of the U.S. and is forecast to continue into the holiday weekend. Here at home, Hoosiers are finding ways to stay cool. For some people, options are limited.
It's tough. It's not easy. It's very dangerous.
Deanna Kuntz has been without a home for 3 years. She and her husband move around downtown to where they can find shade and AC. But when it comes to the tent she sleeps in, options are limited.
I took my tent off, my top off, no breeze whatsoever. It's suffocating, but there's only so much you can do.
Kuntz, along with several others on the streets, have become ill from the heat. According to IEMS Medical Director Mark Lau, a majority of calls they get are from people experiencing homelessness.
Heat illness and heat stress could happen to anyone, particularly those with pre-existing medical conditions. So folks that have diabetes, medications to lower blood pressure, things like diuretics.
IEMS says they responded to 9 calls Monday from dehydration, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. The agency says that number is extremely high. In fact, the daily average for heat-related calls last year was just 1 per day.
Our paramedics and EMTs are trained to recognize the signs of heat stroke. Sometimes people will call it dehydration as well, but that's when people start having a headache, they feel lightheaded, they feel nauseous.
Alongside recognizing the signs of heat-related illnesses, the city of Indianapolis says people should check on friends and family and take frequent breaks.
City officials also tell us there are several locations being used as cooling centers for families to go to. You can find all that information at our website, WTHR.com. In Indianapolis, Alex Almanza, 13 News.
Staying safe in this heat can come down to what you pick out of your closet. We talked to a doctor from Riley Hospital for Children this afternoon about what to wear before you head outside.
Layers if you're going to be out for a while, keeping cool, lots of sunscreen out in the sun as well. Sometimes like longer sleeve, like really light clothing can be helpful to actually block from the sun, and as long as it's light clothing and not like making you overheat. Sunscreen is another big thing to keep in mind because it can be sunny and sunburn can happen before you know it.
Dr. Parra went on to tell us when it comes to kids, if it feels too hot outside for you, it's probably too hot for your child. She says kids can get overheated much easier than adults, especially in cars, so make sure your children get in and out of your car at the same time you do. And speaking of cars tonight, it's really important to take extra care of them when temperatures rise. Make sure to fill up your tank and keep it about 3/4 full. Take a moment to check your car's battery as well as the fluid levels. Next, check the tire pressure because it can reduce the chances of a blowout. For every 10-degree temperature change, your tires lose or gain air. And pack an emergency travel kit. extra water, healthy snacks, a cell phone charger, and first aid essentials. And you can track this heat right now on our WTHR streaming app. That's where you'll find our live heat map with temperatures in real time near you. Just download our free app on your TV. Well, right now the cost to fill up your tank is cheaper here in Indiana than anywhere else in the country. But those savings for you are costing INDOT and local governments big money. Right now, Indiana Governor Mike Braun told us that Indiana will reimburse those local governments for lost tax revenue. Governor Braun, as you know, suspended the state's gas tax earlier this year to combat skyrocketing costs. The governor adds he will request to transfer funds from the state highway fund on July 21st. Local governments should get payments within about a week if that's approved.
Without this effort by him to replace the money, our members would have started to delay projects, perhaps even lay off people at the highway department.
Indy DPW leaders are telling us they appreciate this move. They estimate that suspending the gas tax and the gasoline excise tax cost the department nearly $8 million between April and June. They say, for now, it has not caused any projects to get canceled. Right now, this does not address losses to INDOT. That agency believes it has lost $250 million. Well, tomorrow is July 1st. This will be a turning point here in our state. That's when Indiana's new laws take effect. So I want to show you a quick look at the biggest changes that Hoosiers will unlock at midnight. A cell phone ban in school. So from bell to bell, kids won't be able to use their phones during the day with exceptions for emergencies, medical needs, and learning accommodations. Utility affordability. Utility companies will have to lay out a 3-year rate plan in advance. Part of their profits will depend on how well they perform on affordability and reliability. This law also requires utilities to offer bill assistance programs. Indiana housing. This new law addresses costs and supply. Most of this new law focuses on making housing easier to build, but critics point to several provisions that they say reduce safety. Our Emily Longnecker has been going deeper into these new laws and several others. In fact, you can see Emily's coverage right now over on WTHR.com.